Cheers, y'all.
Well.
That's how a party starts.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Welcome to show number 280. That's 280 for those of you keeping track.
Halfway to 300.
Yes, sir. We are proud to be there. Welcome to the program. We're all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, coming to you every Thursday at 1 p.m., and, of course, available on all the major podcast networks and all of that good baloney. Welcome again to the show. We're going to talk about the best whiskey for beginners today. And, of course, anytime we want to talk about whiskey on the show, it's always nice to be joined by our Smokin' and Toastin' resident whiskey expert, spirit entrepreneur, and good friend, Mr. Kristopher Hart. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
It's been a while since
No matter
we've
what
had
anybody says, that guy's pretty awesome.
I swear to God, before we started filming, I thought, I just saw these guys like in January. And we went back and looked. No, it was like 6 months ago.
Yes, it's been a while. So it's been too long, actually.
Time flies. Way too long.
And Kris, of course, is not only a spirit entrepreneur and an expert on whiskey, as he has been named by Texas Monthly Magazine, but he is also the host of his own show, which is quite good. And I just have to say, you're like killing it, man. You're knocking it out of the park. You get some of the most amazing guests to come on and just like talk with you and drink whiskey and rum, and it's pretty amazing.
It feels weird. It feels fake. Yeah, we had Colin Hanks on this week.
That's just so cool.
I told myself I'm not going to bring up his dad. I'm not going to bring up his dad.
And that was the first thing you did?
No. It's the first thing he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I
haven't
know
seen
that
the episode. So.
Yeah, it just dropped today. It's supposed to drop tomorrow, but we dropped it early because today. So there's this great film in a couple decades back. I don't know if you ever heard of it, called The Godfather.
Oh, let me see.
I
think
the third one was awesome.
I think that's in my Netflix queue.
Yeah. So apparently the story behind the development of that film is actually quite incredible, and so they're coming out with a new miniseries on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, that's about the making of it.
Yes,
right?
It dropped today. It's called The Offer. The Offer. It's got a great cast full of. Giovanni Ribisi is one of my all-time favorite actors.
He's awesome.
And they just basically tell the story of how the film came to be. And Colin came on. We talked about everything he's got going on, and he actually has a side business called Hank's Kerchiefs. Nice pun, handkerchiefs, right? And so we started throwing out our own ideas for business names using Tom Hanks's last, like the Hanks last name. Yeah. I thought of Hanksgiving, right? And
that's
charity,
good.
right?
Yeah, that's good.
It's a great time. We have a weird lucky streak so far.
Well, I think you probably worked pretty hard to put all that stuff together. It would be my guess, because there's we have a bit of luck here occasionally, but mostly it's like you really got to grind to put these things together. A lot of people don't realize that that it takes some planning and preparation to actually do this.
Yeah. It's. I was also telling Ian beforehand I could use a nap.
I understand.
Or
this.
A beer. So thanks for the Guinness.
And a beer and a nap. A beer followed by a nap is always one of the better things, right? So,
book ended.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
By beer.
It's good to do. So we want to talk about your spirits, about Gregarious Grump. We want to talk about what else is going on with you. I know that you obviously are putting together another whiskey social. The last time we spoke, you had talked about expanding that out maybe to other cities beyond Houston. Is that still something going on?
Yeah, my time might become a little bit more freer soon, so I'm hoping to launch the Agave Social as well as multiple cities.
That's something I've been looking forward to.
It's something we've been wanting to do since day one, and it's just a matter of feet on the ground. There's so much going on that it's hard to. A lot of great ideas with no execution.
I understand that. Yep, I understand that. We call that the Doug Harris syndrome. No, I'm sorry. I didn't really mean that, Doug. If you're watching or listening, Doug's just one of those guys that has so many great ideas.
So many ideas.
That it would be impossible to do them all. and he's just like an idea machine.
You need 6 of them.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
He had 6 of himself.
Sometimes you just throw out ideas to see which ones stick for a while.
Yeah, and we do that here on the show, as a matter of fact. Sometimes that's what we do at the beginning of the show, and sometimes it sticks, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes not so much.
It's my entire life. Yeah.
Yeah, but it does happen. Well, we are going to talk about whiskey today, of course, the best whiskey for beginners. We'll also be telling you about an Ohio couple that's really serious about visiting craft breweries, and they've made a bit of a name for themselves. So we'll tell you about those guys. We will also bring you, of course, our most popular segment, Drinking News, and our Drinking News teaser headline. If you want to give me a little, give me a little.
You think I'd be ready for that?
Teaser
by now,
music,
right?
yeah. Well, sometimes
diddle?
I just spring it on you here. Our Drinking News teaser headline, A Wedding to Remember, if you can. So we'll get to that coming up. Plus,
Did you guys plan that?
but what?
That exact delivery, the note followed by "if you can." Like, was that planned?
Well, I was about to say A Wedding to Remember, if you can, and then you started playing, so I just waited.
I mean, that was amazing. The execution of the radio voice.
It's all about timing.
You're going to give him a big head. Stop that.
I loved it.
And with Kris as our guest today, we'll not only be sampling some spirits that he's brought along, but a few very interesting beers from Martin House Brewing in Fort Worth, Texas. Those guys always put out interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be tasting their Congratulations. It's a sweet and sour cake ale.
Nice.
I don't even know what that means, but
They do some
That
weird
means
stuff
500
there.
calories for sure.
yeah, for sure. But they do some very interesting stuff at Martin House. So this, I'm sure, will be no
they
exception.
started out making reasonably normal beers
Oh,
at
yeah.
the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very
then
normal.
They just have gone over the top with
Don't they
these
do Salty Lady?
They do,
That's-
yeah.
yeah.
They
That's
do
a good beer.
pickle. They've done pickles. They've done flaming hot Cheetos. they've gone all over the map.
all kinds of stuff.
I struggle with the pickle beers. I really do. That just doesn't really.
When
do
I
one.
happened to be at the brewery at one point in time.
At
were
Martin House?
visiting, Yeah, we were visiting a friend of mine up in the Fort Worth area, and then we went to visit my wife's cousin, who also lives in that area. We went to the brewery in between, and they had just a few beers at that point in time. They had their 3 a.m. beer.
Mm-hmm.
They had a beer called Oklahoma Sucks.
I've had that beer. It's-
and a few, and they had
And
the
you have to
box,
understand
was it
living-
box sliders.
yeah, I think
One of
that's
theirs, yeah. So they had those, but they didn't have like the breadth of beers that they have now.
And you have
It's
to
just crazy.
understand, living in Texas, the big rivalry between the University of Texas and Oklahoma has gone on for years. So that's where the Oklahoma Sucks beer came from. I have no doubt they are Longhorn alumni there.
I mean,
at
it's
Martin
also
House.
just a factual statement that state.
Well, there
sucks.
is that.
So-
Yes, I've lived there, so I can speak to
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
yes, yeah. I lived in Oklahoma City, and I will tell you, I've never seen a city that wanted to be Dallas so bad in my entire life. They just have Dallas envy there, and
Wow.
I don't know what that's about.
That's a weird statement in Houston.
It really
Dallas
is. It
envy,
really.
fair
And I felt like telling them, there's more than just Dallas.
Well, no, I mean just the idea that you could, as a city, aspire to just be a large shithole in Texas.
Well, there's that.
So
yes.
I mean, imagine wanting to be that bad.
From Middletown, New York, and Equilibrium Brewery, we will be trying their Mass X Acceleration, which sounds like a video game, but it is a double IPA, and we'll be trying that on the show today. And then from Hubbard's Cave, we've had Hubbard's Cave Brewing products on the program before, but it's been a while. We'll be tasting their chocolate-covered strawberries. It's an Imperial Stout.
That sounds awesome.
And all I know is on the can it just has strawberries, like an outline of
Sounds
strawberries.
good. I'm in for sure.
So yeah, and I'm sure we'll be trying some spirits as well. I can see the tops of the bottles from here, so we'll get to those things as we continue as well. So
Well, I think didn't Alan bring one of our cognacs? Which one did he bring?
He did. He brought two actually. He brought, was it the 30?
Oh, he brought the 30.
And then the one that was with the was it 12?
We've got a 10, 12, and 14, a 21,
We've
and a
now
30.
reached the part of the show where we talk about the one show that I missed recently.
Yes,
Okay,
that was
so
when,
then I'll leave it back out there.
Yeah,
If
oh,
you
no.
haven't had the 30-year-old cognac, you should.
and I have had it, and I would love to have it again.
Okay, we've got it.
Because it was just nothing short of fantastic. What I said at the time was that this kind of rings in for me at the same level as the spirits that I hold in great reverence. For me, that's the Jose Cuervo Reserva de la Familia tequila, and that rum from
The Florida Caña.
The Florida Caña 25. I mean, those are ones that you kind of.
You kind of covet. You relish them on
really
yourself.
kind of set them away. You only do them on special
It's almost
occasions.
as fun just to know you have them.
That's exactly right. And I don't have either right now. I'm out of both. and we talked about this on the show a few weeks ago. One of my favorite sort of lesser priced, almost at that stage for me on the tequila side has been the Skelly Añejo. And I think the first bottle of Skelly that I bought was around $38.
Yeah.
It's $100 now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
Did they do anything different?
No.
See, that's
it's just
crazy
that's just
part.
how much it has escalated.
Although I brought that Macambo and you really enjoyed that.
That was good. Yes, that was really good. You got that as a gift, so you don't know how
I
much that
did,
was.
but I
Yeah.
think it comes in at like $35 or $40.
Oh,
I don't
man,
think
that's a steal.
super expensive.
Yeah, you guys, my friends over at Mexcor, our distributor, would be very happy to hear you guys. You guys are just naming off products that the same distributor distributes.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't realize that. So.
Yeah, the Skelly I saw. You're the one that showed it to me the first time. But in the defense of all spirits costs right now, I don't think anyone realizes the bubble we're about to hit.
Yeah.
Because pricing has gone so substantially through the roof. Just to give you an example, last year in May, June, we bought 300 barrels of 6-year-old rye, this product, for $2,700 a barrel, which equates to, after you packaging, label, boxes, everything, $60 on the shelf. The same source sent me a list of available barrels this week, and barrels that were 7 months old were more expensive than what we paid for those 6 years last year.
Wow.
So you're about to see a massive uptick in pricing across the board of all spirits, not because of secondary. I think it has to do with the investment firms. There's a ton of investment people who get together and you buy, it may cost $600 to fill a barrel, and if you buy $60,000 of those barrels, in 3 years, those barrels are worth now they're probably worth close to $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay.
So regardless of what's left in the barrel, which means your $60,000 investment's worth $500,000 in 3 years, no matter what's inside the barrel.
So this really reminds me, though.
I need to get me one of those $60,000.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? What frightens me about this is I saw, because my background for years was broadcast radio.
No.
And I did, broadcast radio from the time I was about 17 years old all the way through until about 15 years ago. And I watched as this awesome industry that used to be really amazing, really fun, and to the point where people would...
Somewhat respectable, even.
Yeah. And even to the point where people would identify themselves sometimes by what their favorite radio station was.
Right.
Particularly if you were in a city with like 2 rock stations, which one you preferred said something about you, as an example. But I watched as the investment firms and the bankers and the big companies started buying up radio,
ripping it
apart.
and
they ruined it. They really did. I mean, there's a reason that everything is so stale, and every time they go to a block of commercials, it's 15 commercials long.
Yeah.
That's all a direct result over time of what those investment companies did. And I feel like it's just as dangerous a thing to see them moving into the spirit world.
Sure.
So how will consumers, will they pay that money? I mean, I had to say, I was thinking about buying a bottle of Skelly, and when I saw the price, I did not. I went and bought something else. And I'm not saying it isn't worth it. I don't know. It's hard.
Well, I think that we are going to see the bubble finally burst.
Okay, so what happens then?
Okay, so we as Americans, we're not going to stop drinking. Mm-hmm. That's not an option.
I think they know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is I think we will see a trend of people moving into different spirits that aren't as expensive, and then those spirits will get crazy. And eventually, it's kind of like RTDs. RTDs were all the rage. Every quarter last year, we were seeing a massive uptick of above and beyond any projection of canned beverages, canned spritzers,
cocktails,
seltzers,
and
whatever the
beers,
case may be.
right,
Yeah. And then in like third quarter last year, all of a sudden it was flat, and everyone panicked and got out of it. So what'll happen is you're going to see a lot of small brands just go away. They're just going to go away, and then eventually, these brokers, the people that are selling it for such crazy high dollar amounts, they're going to have to drop the pricing. It's like a commodity. It's going to have to drop in order for the industry to survive. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is brokers are just going to have a glut. They're buying up all this 2- and 3-year-old liquid from big distilleries that have excess, listing it for crazy prices. No one's going to buy it, and then it's got to drop. But in the meantime, Americans will probably move on to something else. The tequila boom, we're in it now.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a little secret, a lot of the tequilas you see on the shelf, the selling point is the crazy bottle.
Right. It's
The liquid
decorative
inside
bottle.
is
Right.
garbage, or it's the same as 20 other things on the shelf.
That was the whole reason I didn't buy Skelly for a long time, is because it
Yeah,
comes
it does-
in that
it has the corny
comes in that kind of goofy
container.
skeleton-looking bottle with the sombrero, and I thought, oh, that can't be good. There's no way. It's just about
It's
the
like when
bottle.
you put it
Turns
in,
out it was
in a
but-
crystal skull. It's just probably not going to be.
Yeah. Well-
I can pretty much tell you that's not. But
The whiskey world has been warning people to stay away from over-the-top bottles. But tequila's, there's something exotic about it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
walk in. Specs even has a glass sombrero full of tequila,
But
Right.
that's easy to
right
pour out.
next to a penis-shaped bottle of tequila.
oh wow, There
All
you
the
go.
same company. They'll put it in any shape
They'll
bottle
put it
you
in any
want.
bottle you
Yeah.
want. Well,
Is it,
what you
wait,
were-
is it better to drink from the bottle or from the glass when it comes to that one? I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah,
wanna
the top of the glass or the base of the glass.
I'm going to let you guys run with
Yeah,
that one.
no.
You mentioned, what happened with seltzers. Like it was the hottest thing until it wasn't. I very succinctly predicted that, and it's because I'm old enough to remember
Zima?
Zima. And when I had my first, seltzer, that's exactly what it took me back to. Was that it's something about that kind of artificial sweetener aftertaste, or that a lot of
artificial
seltzers
Or
have.
Smirnoff Ice.
Yeah, or
I mean,
Smirnoff Ice.
They're
Right.
the exact same thing.
Reminded me of Zima, and I remember from back in what would have been the early '90s, I guess, when Zima debuted.
Put the Jolly Rancher in it.
I was at every Saturday night I was spinning at a nightclub and hosting a live broadcast at a nightclub in St. Louis, Missouri. And I remember over the course of like 2 weeks, you'd look out across the club, and instead of everybody holding cocktails and beers, everybody was holding a Zima. It's like
That
it
stuff was
became-
so over-carbonated, too.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy.
But what was interesting is that a number of months later, just as quickly as it had taken over, it
faded.
disappeared.
Yeah.
It just boom. Like when it died hard. And I don't even know if you can get a. Can you even get a Zima?
They
I think it's still-
re-released
yeah.
it, just a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and then it was a flash in the pan again,
Yeah.
I think. It was like, oh, it's Zima, and then everyone tasted it and was like, oh, it's Zima.
All I know is whenever I have like people over to the house or whatever, and I always get a few seltzers for the people I think that might not want spirits or beer or wine or whatever. And they usually just sit in the bottom of my beer refrigerator, and then I start begrudging them the space that they're taking up.
But then
I
you
got
end up
better-
with
Here.
gently aged seltzers.
Well, there
right?
you go. That could be a thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them out there. I think, the 90s we had gin. Gin was all the rage. In the 2000s, and thanks to Sex and the City, vodka became all the rage.
thing, yes.
And then you came out with 47,000 different flavors of vodka,
Mm-hmm.
including one called Ivanovich that's tobacco flavored, which was by far the dumbest thing that's happened in spirits in 3 decades. And
Well, you got to. The woman married Donald Trump at one point. You got to.
yeah, but no one in their right mind is drinking vodka that tastes like an ashtray.
Yeah. I'm with
Tobacco
you.
flavored vodka is the worst decision that's ever been made. So, and I'll tell you right now, it actually killed the brand almost.
Really?
It used to be a brand that was doing something like 60,000 or 100,000 cases a year. I think now they're down to 20, and it was with the release of the tobacco,
flavored.
It just
Yeah.
killed it.
So
So
how did that get across the board?
Yeah. You have to
Like,
wonder.
somebody was like, tobacco, that's the flavor we need.
well, I'll tell you what happened. We get into an era where you think flavors are all the rage, and you start with the easies: cherries, limes, grapes.
Grapefruit.
There's a donut flavored
What
one
will,
out there.
what
Then you
will
start getting
set
weird.
us aside?
I've actually
Whipped
had
cream.
I've actually had a marshmallow flavored
Yeah.
vodka.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. A little sweet for me.
A little oily and greasy, and your mouth feels weird. And so,
Well, it's interesting to watch, and I think that you're right about things kind of coming in phases. I mean, remember, like California Red Wine took off after that Paul Giamatti movie. Sideways, is that what that movie was called? What was the movie where
with
he
wine?
played the wine guy?
The way that he brought, he killed the Merlot market.
Right. So it's interesting to see how things shift and stuff, but the idea of all these prices going up so dramatically is a little
Liliana
funny.
says on here, you'll be shocked about the prices of mezcal when I'm in there next week.
Yeah,
No kidding.
and that's
Wow.
another thing. And I've
Because
talked
mezcal used to be really affordable.
Well, and I'll tell you who I think's at fault at that. I don't think it's the producers. I think it's the importers and the distributors. I have a prediction that I think will be the next controversy. Not the next, but it will be a controversy at some point with the way that Mexican spirits are treated. On the consumer side, everyone wants to give the due respect at the craft of making mezcal and sotol. There's a lot of effort, a lot of heritage. These plants are really old. A lot of them are, people go out there and cut them. It's such a process that it should be an expensive premium product, but it shouldn't be over $100.
Right.
And I talked to a few mezcal sotol producers, and I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect is. Why are we seeing, $150, $130, $200 mezcals and sotols? Never touch a barrel. And it turns out it's not the money's not going to the producer. It's the importer and the distributor. So just to give like rough estimates, right? So if I make something and this costs me $10 to make, I'm going to add 30% on it and sell it to a distributor. So I make 30%.
Right.
Distributor, after taxes and laid-in shipping costs and all the stuff that goes into shipping product, they're going to add 35%. We tracked down a couple of products. I talked to the same producer because I wanted to do a sotol for Gregarious, but I wanted to be mindful. You got to be very careful about doing a spirit that's not your own. So we wanted to feature the producer, feature the mezcalero, fully transparent, and we asked them pricing and to buy directly from them, not a broker, and use co-brand with them to to showcase their talent
Right.
and their work. And it was nothing. Like
So it was very affordable.
Yeah, the pricing was we were able to put on the shelf at $70 what another producer who buys from the exact same mezcalero or sotolero is $150.
So you're thinking it's these it's the
something
middlemen who are marking it up,
yes.
right?
And so I asked him, I said, well, what's your FOB? What are you selling to these people? He even gave me, I'm not going to put the distributor on blast or anything, but there's one in Texas that, a small one, that's taking 65%. And because
they can.
Well, I don't know what the reasoning for it is. I just know that what's happening is your distributors are training their sales reps, showing them pictures of the fields, showing them pictures of the process, sometimes sending them down there to take a look at the equipment and to be a part of the experience. And then those people are going into bars and doing classes and
Teaching people, right.
teaching people about how you should honor, you should respect the premiumization, blah, blah, blah. That's like basically me saying, I'm going to start a charity for injured dogs. And I'm going to show you pictures of injured dogs. And I'm going to play in your heartstrings. And I'm going to send 10 cents on the dollar back to those injured dogs. That's what's happening in Mexican spirits. And it happened with it's happened with French spirits, too. We had an Armagnac that we were going to do for the Houston Bourbon Society for $100. And they ended up getting an importer. And that importer and the distributor in Texas, by the time when we picked it, we were told it was going to be $100 by our chain of the chain, the retailer, everything. By the time between the time we picked it and the time it got here, they had an importer, a designated importer, and their it was $200.
Wow.
It had doubled in price from what we were told when we first initially bought it.
So what you're saying is it's kind of like Sarah McLachlan getting the donations for the animals with that like commercial on TV that makes you cry, and then pocketing 90%. It's only sending 10% to the animals, right?
And I think that's a little shitty. We found out that we could pay my business partner is Hispanic. And he's like, we can do a sotol, but the fact that you're involved, they're going to charge you a white tax. And I said, that's fine. We did the numbers. We could pay the sotolero directly twice what they were charging and still be on the shelf cheaper than the nearest competitor.
Wow. That's interesting.
And I don't understand. Everyone's greedy right now. So you guys, the consumers, you guys are the ones
We're paying for it.
that are paying for it,
Absolutely.
and it's gonna hit a breaking point. It's not sustainable to pay $100 for 6-month-old booze.
I agree. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll find out what you smoked this week and how it went over, and we'll talk a little bit of whiskey, especially whiskey for beginners. We'll see what Kris thinks of the experts list that we have to share. This is Smoking and Toasting, show number 280.
I didn't understand Brian's reference.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, fine overpriced spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
All
Speaking
good
of
things,
hand-rolled
except for the
cigars, usually I ask you this in the first segment, but we got on a pretty interesting topic there. So let me ask you now: have you had the opportunity to smoke anything interesting this week?
I did. I sat out on my patio this morning, and had a cigar. Cigars aren't just for breakfast anymore.
No, not at all.
They're good all the time. But I had one right after breakfast this morning. It was pretty nice with my smoking partner Attila. You'll see a picture of her shortly.
Oh, okay, good.
a dog?
Welcome, Attila.
It's a cat. she comes out and hangs out with me. I picked it up a couple weeks ago, but I picked up a Punch Fu Manchu.
Oh,
This is part of their series that they release every year for Chinese New Year. So they've had a few of them, but this is the Punch Fu Manchu 6x50. The appearance on this is pretty interesting. It's gently box pressed, smooth, and a bit oily. Firm overall feel. Ruddy brown wrapper, Habano wrapper. I forgot to write what all the tobaccos in there was. I think it's a Habano wrapper on it. And the top section has a lighter bit of wrapper. It's like the top 20% by the cap has a bit of a lighter colored wrapper on it. Has a long pigtail that goes under the wrapper as well. That's kind of interesting. Almost half the length of the cigar. The wrapper has a fortune printed on the back of it.
oh, just like a fortune cookie.
And yeah, it'll be on the picture.
Makes
You'll
sense.
see
The
what mine
pigtail's
said.
the reference to the Fu Manchu, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the pre-light sniff on this, I got rich earth and nutty notes with mocha, barnyard, and a little light pepper on that. The pre-light draw. I used a clip. It had a light draw to it. Sweet, creamy mocha, underlying nuttiness, and a light pepper. Pretty pleasant overall. The initial light on this, I got tangy leather with pepper and strong mocha flavors and sweetness, with a spicy aftertaste. The retrohale was cedar, mocha, and cinnamon. A little bit spicy, very nice.
Nice.
Yeah, the first third of this, mocha and sweetness in abundance. Not mocha sweetness,
Mocha
but
and
mocha and just
sweetness.
kind of an unidentifiable sweetness was kind of this interesting thing. They were sweetness, mocha and sweet side by side. Cedar and leather layers behind, followed by a cinnamon and white pepper spiciness. Underlying nuttiness remained throughout. Retrohale was cedar, mocha, and cinnamon with a kiss of pepper. Solid ash, perfect burn. The second third of this should be about when Attila was sitting on my table, and you're probably seeing pictures of her. That's my cat, Attila.
She likes cigars.
Well, no, she likes to hang out whenever I'm out
Okay.
there. So
Okay.
she's obnoxious too. She like you pick her up off the table, put her on the ground, she's back on the table. So it's just over and over. So you just give up after a while. She beats you down through attrition, and then you have to pet her. So the second third of this, full thick smoke, woody notes move from cedar to oaky dryness. Mocha and nutty flavors remain strong. Sweetness remains strong yet undefinable, undefinable.
Either way.
I think I made that word up. Maybe I don't know. Unidentifiable. I don't know.
It's 2022. We can identify however it like.
Yeah, that's
Close
right.
enough, right? Complex bouquet of flavors, including leather, earth, barnyard, salt, maple syrup, bitter fruit. Retrohale is oak, toast, mocha, and pepper. Solid ash, perfect burn. The last third of the cigar, nutty and woody notes complement the mocha and sweetness. Leather and maple syrup follows and is in turn followed by earth, toast, cinnamon, and light pepper. Pleasant citrus develops here and adds a bit of intensity to overall strength, which is mildly medium.
Mildly medium.
Mildly medium. So that's like a medium minus, I would think. But I thought mildly medium was much more fun to say.
That sounds fun, yes.
So just my little play on words there. Retrohale's oak, mocha, and citrus with cinnamon and mild pepper, solid ash, perfect burn. If you were a person wanting to step from a mild cigar into something medium that has a lot of complexity, but also isn't so strong that you are afraid to step into it, this is a great cigar for you. This cigar costs $6-ish. I give it a 6. It's fantastic.
Nice.
It stands
Nice.
up there with all the classic in that $6 to $8 price range. All the AJ Fernandez blends and things like the Hoyos and those.
Punch is
It really is
Punch
good.
is just a really solid, old school brand.
Yeah, they tend to fly under my radar a little bit just because they're so ubiquitous. So I end up looking for other stuff, a lot of times. But every once in a while, I pick up a Punch, and I'm always very happy with it.
Nice.
So yeah,
I will put that on my list to get. That sounds good. I had something interesting this week. I smoked a La Aroma de Cuba Mi Amor Belicoso, and it's a kind of a short torpedo, basically. A really nice looking cigar, a medium to dark brown wrapper, and a nice blue band. The band, I think, changed colors. It used to be more yellowish. I think they changed the packaging on it a little bit. But a nice blue band in this. It was a loosely box pressed short torpedo, and it was rolled for Ashton in the My Father Cigar Factory in Nicaragua. So right away, expectations are pretty high, right? Mm-hmm. This cigar has also been on Cigar Aficionado's year-end best-of list twice. In 2016, and then before that, in 2011, it was the number 2 cigar of the year.
Wow.
So I'm entering with high expectations,
Right, yes.
right? This is going to be good. Rich, earthy tobacco and some tea leaf on the pre-light. I used cigar scissors to clip the tip, and I checked the draw. Woody and earthy tobacco notes, not quite as full of a draw as I usually like. But sometimes you light it, and it's okay. Like you can tell from the pre-light if it's nice and free. And sometimes it's a little less so, but once you light it, it smokes great anyway.
Right.
And so that is what I was hoping. It did light quite easily, and, I was, again, not crazy about the tightness of the draw. I got a sweetness, some earth and leather with an underlying pepper note, but the Mi Amor was really making me work for it. It was a little tougher draw.
It's distracting when the draw is
yes.
a little too tight.
So I decided to clip it again because this is a torpedo. So
Right.
sometimes you clip a little further in,
Yeah.
opening up more area. It'll help. So I clipped it again, hoping to improve the draw, and it did help a little bit. I tried kind of rolling it between my fingers, applying pressure. I always am concerned I'll crack the wrapper
Right,
when I
that's
do
a-
that.
that's
so
a scary
yeah,
one,
it's a little tentative. So important to be careful. Construction seemed excellent at the foot of the cigar, which burned almost perfectly. But I was still struggling with the draw, and the Mi Amor started now to burn a little hot from my extra effort trying to pull stuff through it, and kind of brought a harsh note to the palate, which really kind of messed things up. Not good. About an inch in, I decided to clip it a second time, effectively making it no longer a torpedo.
Right.
It was looked just like a slightly
wide
box
open
pressed
at the
cigar. This did help a little more with the draw, but the harshness was still there. So I decided to let it sit for a couple minutes, and then when I came back, it was still lit, which was good. And so I'm now into the second third. The draw's a little bit better, but still not as good as I'd hoped. The harshness subsided for the most part, and I was able to detect a nice roasted nut aroma with leather and coffee bean. Burn got a little funky. I assume that's probably from when I stopped smoking it for a couple of minutes. So I touched it up once, which seemed to do the trick. And the burn improved, but I'm going to be honest, it was still too tight of a draw.
Did you try using a poke down the middle of it?
I ordinarily do, but I was in the car and I didn't have one.
Oh, gotcha.
So if I had been at home, I have something that I normally use for that, and I would.
You have those little
I'll try
foldy
to open
scissors
it up.
that have the poke on.
Yeah, but it's only about that long, so
gotcha.
it won't open up much. Again, I had to be careful not to over smoke this and make it harsh again. The most frustrating thing about all of this was that the Mi Amor had some really nice flavors happening, but I couldn't enjoy them as much as I wanted to because of having to smoke it so carefully. By the last third, it finally opened up a little better. The woody note had dominated in the final third, but it was the sweetness was gone, which I think may have had something to do with it having been harsh for a little while.
Right.
I really wanted to like the Mi Amor Belicoso more. I had higher expectations because of how well it had been rated, the fact that it was out of the My Father factory. These are all good signs. I suspect that the draw issue was probably most likely just limited to this particular cigar. In fact, I went on my iPad on the internet and looked around to see if I could find any reviews that other people had done that talked about it being, too tight of a draw, and I didn't find anything. So I'm thinking that this was an isolated issue. It's about a $9 cigar. And I'm going to have to give the one I smoked today a 3
Ouch.
on price to quality. It just, there's no reason a cigar with that good of tobacco should get as harsh as that one got for so much of it. And in smoking it was more of a chore than a pleasure. Having said that, and given that I didn't see any other complaints about it online, I will still give it a recommendation, just, maybe
With
a
the heads
qualified
up,
one.
yeah.
And I will definitely buy another one of these and try it. And hopefully the results will be better the next time. Because I like the brand, La Aroma de Cuba.
Yeah.
I like really almost everything I've ever smoked out of the My Father cigar factory has been terrific. So, yeah, you know what? Sometimes you just kind of get a dud. It happens.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a handmade product here, and even though the quality control is really high, especially on Aroma de Cuba and companies
Right.
like that, I think occasionally, once in a while, you're just going to get one that
You certainly couldn't have told by looking at that cigar that it was not going to draw. I mean, it was beautiful. The tobacco looked right. It didn't look uneven. Everything looked good. But like I said, sometimes it just happens. Ian, I'm going to pass you a can of sweet and sour cake. It's called Congratulations, and it's from Martin House Brewing. And I'm really anxious to taste this because I think I don't really know what to expect.
it's just got a
Just a big
picture
old
of
birthday cake on there.
birthday cake on there with
And it has
sprinkles
sprinkles,
and everything, yes.
so if it has sprinkles, it has to be good.
Enjoy
Right?
the sweet and sour cake. 8% is, and then it's
Yeah, I
got a
thought
label
that was
number.
interesting that it
What
seemed.
color do you think that beer is?
What color? It's going to be straw color.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Think so?
Kind of a
think
light
so.
yea? Are you thinking
Something
it'll be a
about
deeper
it
color?
Maybe a
makes me
ruddy
think of-
yellow almost. What's that?
Does it say what it is on the can? Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
Let's say what is.
What it is?
It's a sweet and
Just
sour
says
ale.
sweet and sour. So probably light. I think
Yeah.
you're right.
It's going to be
For some reason, I was imagining a stout.
Right.
No, I'm
with
picturing
cake.
kind of a ruddy straw color.
Yeah, I think probably lighter too. Nicely
a-
done, sir.
Not a ton of
Ooh.
carbonation
Yes,
on
I
there.
got a
Can you
sniff
smell
of
it
cake.
already? Yeah.
Okay. I'm excited.
Now, how are you about sours? I can't remember if you like them or not.
I mean, I'll drink them. I've not been blown away by one in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Really tart sours that taste like ketchup? Nah, I'm good.
How many
Nobody
are we doing
really
here? We're
wants a
doing
ketchup flavored
6
beer.
around? Is that what's going on here?
I think so. Yes.
Got to be conservative with the pour then.
Here, I'll even some of these out.
Oh my god, it smells like. Reminds me of a skate. You remember skating
Oh my
rinks?
gosh.
Skating rink, really?
Yeah, skating rink cake. You
Yeah.
never went to a birthday party at a
At
skating,
a skating rink.
1991.
Oh man.
Pictures of Jonathan Taylor Thomas on the wall.
This, like, if you just put this to my nose, I would say it just smells like cake.
Yeah, it really does. Like
Like, I don't even
almost-
detect beer.
In fact, I can even picture.
It smells like the batter when you walk in and someone's making the cake.
I can even picture it being just like it's on the can, a white cake with white icing with
like a
sprinkles.
white sheet cake.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
That is cake galore with some sour in there for sure. I don't hate it.
I don't
Oh, I
hate it
kinda
either.
like it.
Yeah, I kind of like
It's
it too.
interesting, like the smell.
It's
you know
not
what's funny
too
is usually
sour, which I
usually when
appreciate.
you have something sour, you can note the sour on your nose, but I don't get that. It's just the
I'm wondering, and I don't know enough about the art of brewing to be able to guess on this, but I'm wondering, did this happen as a happy accident? They were trying to do some things, and this is what they came up with, and they were like, wow, that's like kind of a sweet and sour cake. Or were they going for that from the beginning?
There's no way this is an accident.
with that amount of cake
brewers
in there.
walking around with some cake as he walks past the fermenter and just
Hey, you
drops
dropped
it.
your cake in my beer.
Yeah. It's guaranteed. What happened is they sat down one day and they said, well, what are some big cultural iconic, like,
Flavors.
Yeah.
Things
The
that.
Yes, of
question is the sour, the choice for the sour in there.
Well, I
super
think
tart.
I
So-
can only imagine that this had to be so incredibly sweet
that's what I was about to say. Yeah, it was
Just
probably
from the
so
nose of it.
sweet that it was overwhelming.
That it was
And
just
so
cake batter at
they
that
went,
point.
They went sour to make it more palatable, I think.
I can only imagine what the filtration process was like during this.
I don't want a 6-pack of this, but it would be really fun to open up and share with some friends.
I would drink too.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm for it. That's a fun one.
cake.
What a fun idea.
Yeah. That I was really surprised by it when I saw it. And it did not disappoint. It's exactly what it looks like. So yeah, that would be the
My
best
cup
review.
just smells like cake.
That would be the best review I could give you. If you see what's on the can, it's exactly what it looks
Also,
like.
if you're looking for beer, it's not quite that, but it is delicious.
I mean,
And it's 8%.
I mean, I know it is a beer.
8%?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
8%.
yeah, 2 of those you'd be feeling real good.
That's pretty big.
I will say this. Sometimes when you're at a party and somebody serves the cake, and it's that white cake with the white icing and the sprinkles, sometimes that is so sweet that you only eat like a couple of bites.
Couple bites, yeah.
Nobody. I mean, no adult I know eats that cake anymore.
Like
So-
it makes your teeth hurt before the fork even gets to your face.
Yeah. So with this, though, I could actually have a little more, which is different from the actual cake itself.
I'm
I think it's
interested
the
to see
sour
what it
that
does
makes it.
when it actually gets a little more room temperature.
I almost don't want to know.
I'm interested. Is it going to be
Think
more
it-
sour or more sweet?
I think it has to be as cold
Let's
as
not.
it is.
Let's not skirt with danger.
Tempt fate?
Let's not. Let's make it hot and see what it does.
No, I'm going to fly into the danger zone. We're going to do this a little later in the show.
All right. It's your palate. I want to recognize a couple from Ohio. And before I do, I will say I love visiting craft breweries. I bet in my lifetime I've visited maybe between a dozen and 2 dozen. Not that many.
I bet it's higher.
Not that many. I don't think it's more than 2 dozen that I've been to. Ian, you probably do it more than me. How many craft breweries would you say you have visited?
Probably between 20 and 30.
Yeah, that seems about right. to me.
Seems low.
It hasn't been real crazy.
I mean, there's 20 or 30 in Houston.
Right,
True, but I haven't been to all of them.
right. And it also depends what counts as a craft brewery. Like, does something that's like there was one in Boston where it really was a restaurant, but they brewed beer on
like
site.
PJ's
Yeah,
or one
yeah.
of those.
PJ's.
Yeah,
or like if you go to
PJ's.
PJ's.
BJ's. I said BJ's initially.
Wh-
I
He's,
said TJ's.
No,
he,
BJ's.
he just likes saying BJ's, I think.
No.
BJ's.
I don't jump at the opportunity to say the word
But
BJ, but
BJ's
you said TJ.
BJ's, I think, was they had contracted their beer through St. Arnold, I believe.
Oh,
Well,
I
that's
think
because they
right.
got to a size that they couldn't do it themselves.
Is that what it
anymore.
was? Yeah.
The demand was so high they were burning through all their beer on Saturday.
Wow.
So
That's
they
pretty good.
they started contracting through St. Arnold's to do it.
I know-
They're actually suing us right now.
I know.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah. So I say us. Go
Wait. St. Arnold's or BJ's?
BJ's.
Oh, okay.
BJ's is a restaurant, and we have a vodka called BJ Hookers. They want to get into the spirit space, and so they're not happy with our brand BJ Hookers.
Did they have a brand before you had your
Nope.
brand? So they don't have a whole lot of legs. To
Nope.
stand on.
No, yeah, that's not going to go anywhere. That's just going to get them some publicity is all that'll do.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to mention on the West Coast when I lived further west, there's a company that does those restaurant/breweries called Gordon Biersch.
Yeah.
And their beer's not bad. You know, I think there's some on the East Coast too, but they're I think bigger on the West Coast. I have not seen them here in Texas.
I've seen it in Vegas.
In Vegas, yeah, they
Yeah,
do have them in
seen it
Vegas.
before.
So I've been to those. So you would say I've been to maybe a dozen, 2 dozen. You'd say maybe 30 tops. What about you?
I feel like you guys are, because you live my dream life, right? Smoke cigars for breakfast. Your cat just looks cute. I'm willing to bet that if we were to sit here and start naming Houston breweries, you'd hit 2 dozen immediately. I would say I've of course St. Arnold's is no longer craft, right? They've gotten the size.
Oh
that
no, they're craft. They're considered a mid-sized craft brewery.
Okay. So yeah, St. Arnold's, but
They've been
Spetzel's
there.
definitely not, right? They're definitely over the size capacity.
Well, again,
Shiners.
it depends how you define it. I would say they are craft.
I
To
would
me,
say
Boston
they're-
Beer Company's still craft. Shiner's still craft.
What's the one that you guys have a good relationship with? They do Buckle Bunny.
Eureka
Heights.
Heights. yeah.
Eureka, Eureka.
Yeah,
Buffalo Bayou Brewing.
I haven't been to Buffalo
Ingenious.
Bayou. I've been in Ingenious.
Yeah.
Ingenious.
Ingenious.
I mean, I'm telling you, I bet if we sit down
Brash.
over a cigar, Brash.
Brash,
Platypus.
Spindle Tap,
Yeah.
Platypus.
Baba. Have you been to Baba? What's the one in
Uh-uh.
Conroe in the woods?
Oh,
Haven't
I
been
don't
there.
think I've been there.
No, there's a.
We gotta go.
Yeah, there's.
I've been to what's the one that
There's Copperhead. and
Yellow
there's-
Rose Distilling?
Yellow Rose is great.
Oh yes,
Not distilling.
not the
beer.
distillery,
No,
the
not
beer.
Back Cuba. Back Pew's
Lone
definitely
Pine.
one.
Lone Pine. Thanks. That's
Yes.
what I was looking for.
Yeah, Lone Pine.
I mean, you guys are at a dozen now.
but I don't
it's
think
like
it goes
8.
much
I'm
further.
not good at counting.
Well, Kevin and Maria Glass from Cleveland, Ohio, have taken this on as something of a hobby. They have sipped suds at 336 different craft breweries. That's pretty awesome.
How long have they been together?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Never in my wildest dreams thought I'd go to this many breweries, said Glass. He and his wife are sports fans, and they're very competitive, and they live right across the street from Saucy Brew Works in Cleveland's Ohio City neighborhood, but, of course, that's only one. They just decided to visit all 30-plus breweries in Cleveland, and that's how they got started on the whole thing. So-
Hobbies with the wife is like paramount for success.
Well, and if your wife will go to breweries with you, that's even cooler.
My wife drinks more whiskey than I do.
Yeah, well, there you
And
go.
I drink a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, my wife and I went to True Anomaly a
Yep.
week or two ago and enjoyed the beers there. And
Saloon
and,
Door.
and I have to say, by the way, if you go to True Anomaly, go on Tuesday because taco night is a thing to behold.
So that brings us up to
There's
10
something.
now. You said
Eighth
Saloon
Wonder.
Eighth Wonder.
11.
I know you guys have been Eighth Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to write it down tonight on the way home after my nap. And
But
I'm going
there-
to just.
I've been to Walking Stick and a few other ones.
But there's no way you're
around, too.
close to 336.
Oh, no. I bet
Yeah.
I've been to 30 to 40.
Yeah.
And I'm a much casual beer guy than compared to you two.
How many
why-
distilleries do you think you've been to?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, in distillery world, I'd say north of 50.
I haven't been
That's
to
a
that
lot.
many distilleries.
I'll be at
I've only
one
been
this
to a
weekend.
handful. Yeah, where are you going?
Yeah, we're going to Iron Root. We do something every year
Iron
called
Root is awesome.
distilling camp, where there's no cost or anything other than getting yourself there through travel and your hotel stay. But we do a distilling camp where we bring 20 to 30 people from the group. My wife's going, and we just go up there for 3 days. Friday night, we'll do dinner as a group. Saturday, we'll pick out a mash bill. We'll do a distillation run. We'll romp through their barrel warehouse, tasting barrels. And
I like that romp through
Yeah.
the barrel warehouse.
That definitely
sounds
brings
like
a
fun.
visual, right?
That sounds like fun.
And then we'll do I'm going to be prancing through that barrel warehouse. And then they do a cook burgers, and we do a bonfire, and we play music, and a few people with a guitar actually have a decent voice on them. So
Does this happen the same weekend every year?
no, it changes. But I will let you know next time. You guys would love it. It's absolutely incredible.
Does sound fun.
It's
And Iron Root's awesome, by the way.
and you're there all day Saturday, and then you come home on Sunday. But that Saturday is the most bonding you'll do with people you've met in the hobby. It's incredible.
Awesome.
So yeah, we Iron Root's incredible. I can't wait to go back.
Yeah, they just have exceptionally good whiskey. They really do.
Super nice people,
They
too.
really do. And nice people, yeah. All right, we got to take a break. Speaking of spirits, it's time to get into some when we return. So, Chris, maybe you'll choose what you want us to sample first, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Smokin' and Toastin', our show number 280. We will be right back after this. Welcome back. It's Smokin' and Toastin', show number 280. We are all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We're going to get to the best whiskey for beginners in just a little bit. But first we're going to get to, and I actually can't see the front of the bottle, so I'm not sure what you poured us here. It's the Prideful Goat.
Prideful Goat.
Straight rye whiskey, 6 years old. Talk to me about this.
So this is the first project I did with Gulf Coast. This is my baby. And quite affectionately known as the baby goat. So we released a 15-year-old Kentucky bourbon last year, and then the follow-up to that is this 6-year cask strength rye. We call it the baby goat because it's about half the age, and it's just an affordable priced, very approachable cask strength 6-year-old whiskey that was blended by myself and our head distiller Julian. What's happening? Oh, you want to see it more?
There we go.
Julian Geraldo, our head distiller. So. Yes, it's just a 6-year-old cask strength rye. MGP from Indiana is known for 2 notes: dill, like a dill pickle note, which is very controversial, or bubblegum. And I get a ton of bubblegum on this.
Yeah.
This, And
There's almost a little maple in the background too.
feel free to debate this if you like. But my first take on this first sip, it really reminded me of Whistle Pig.
So many moons ago, Whistle Pig did source some of this distillate from MGP. It is a rye whiskey, and it's close, although I would say that Whistle Pig has a bit more... To me, Whistle Pig's always had a distinct note that's unmistakable. I could take...
A bit more mapley, maybe?
I want to say a bit more grain, a bit more rye forward.
Okay.
But
This is pretty rye forward, though.
To me, this is very sweet with some spice. Theirs is like... And I love Whistle Pig. I'm not insulting it. I'm saying there's something distinct about Whistle Pig that I've not been able to put my finger on. But if you were to blind me and put this in front of me and Whistle Pig, I'd be able to tell the difference. And both are fantastic.
Yeah. This is really good. And
This has a really warm aftertaste to it.
oh, it does, and a nice, a very gentle whiskey hug, which is awesome. You know, what does this retail
only a
for
little
in our conversations
in
about
Texas? About 65, 60, 65.
In our conversations about the prices of spirits, this is still at 65, 60, 65. That's still pretty affordable.
Very
for something of
approachable.
this quality,
Yes.
right?
And honestly, it should be significantly more expensive because to be able to duplicate this now would be through the roof.
So, on the topic of pricing, then, is it maybe a good idea if you find a few things you like that are still reasonably priced
Oh, yeah.
to stock up a little bit?
Are you segueing into it's a perfect way to do that, the beginner stuff?
Well, no, we're going to get to that in the next segment, which is a little longer. But I'm wondering, though, if the next time you go back to put this together, it's almost inevitably going to be higher priced because of what you will have to pay
By a long shot,
to
yeah.
get it. Well, it would seem that if you can find this for $60-$65 right now, you might want to get a couple of them because the next one's going to be more if you wait, right?
You're right. We have about, I want to say, 2,400 cases left. And believe it or not, that is going to be gone probably by July or August.
Wow.
So this product, until we can find more liquid, is the last of it.
I'd be interested to see why you think this is. There's certain things that when they go up in price seem to really just piss people off more than others. So I'll give you an example. When gasoline starts costing more,
Man.
everybody in the United States freaks out, right? You start looking for who to blame. Is it this president? Is it that president? Is it Putin? Whose fault is it that gas is costing us more right now?
I never understood
But I'm not
that.
hearing the outcry about spirit prices.
Because I think it's happened so fast that it hasn't made it. Keep in mind, from the concept of a product to it being available on the shelf is almost always a year.
Mm-hmm.
So if within the past year prices have skyrocketed, they haven't hit the market yet.
Right, because those products are still on their way,
They're
basically.
still on their way, and they're gonna be something to be reckoned with.
wow.
Now there are some things out there. There are some 4-year-old, 5-year-old stuff that's $70, $80. But that age is only going to continue to drop.
So the age will drop and the price will increase, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
And if you had to guess, I realize we're asking you to speculate, but if you had to guess, when does that bubble burst and prices start coming back down?
It has to be in the next 2 years, for
Yeah.
the love of God. I say that, but I always thought, I think it was 2018 or 19, Bitcoin spiked at $20,000 a coin and then fell.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's never going to happen again.
Yeah.
And then it spiked, I think, this year or last year at 60,000. So I'm going to have to stop drinking.
No.
I mean, stop drinking whiskey. I'm still going to drink cognac and everything else. But just as a consumer, I personally will not pay over $50 for something under 5 years.
Right.
And that's saying something because 3 years ago, that rule of thumb was for anything under 10 years.
Right, right. We used to talk about
Fast
how
forward
affordable.
5 years when Kris comes in here and he goes,
Yeah.
so I just made this in my backyard.
Yeah. People are going to find a way to take rubbing alcohol and make it into whiskey again.
I love it. All right, so we'll talk about what spirits are more affordable coming up. We'll also talk about whiskey for beginners. We have more things to sample, and of course, drinking news is on the way. You are listening to Smokin' and Toastin', and we, my friends, will be right back.
All right.
Welcome back. It is Smokin' and Toastin'. Our program's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. It's show number 280. Our guest is whiskey expert Kristopher Hart, and we want to take just a moment to recognize Sister Andre, who defied the odds in early 2021 when she tested positive for COVID and survived. She's 116 years old.
Wow.
Yep. She has survived 2 world wars and COVID-19. In her younger years, she worked as a teacher and a governess. She later spent nearly 3 decades working with orphans and elderly people at a hospital in central France before becoming a Catholic nun. Her secret, by the way, chocolate and wine.
Oh, it would have been funny if you said celibacy.
Well, apparently that's part of the game now. Apparently, but yeah, that's her secret: chocolate and wine.
I wanted to hear cigars.
Yeah, I did too. But but
B-
116, holy cow!
B-52 is who I was thinking of in Conroe.
Oh, love B-52. I haven't been there,
Yeah,
but
it's great.
love their beers.
They have so much overhead of the trees outside that outdoor smoking, even in the middle of summer, it's perfect.
Oh, nice, because there's enough wind blockage and
Shade
you can,
and
shade.
all of it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Ian, road trip, buddy. Road trip.
You would love it.
I'm down.
You want to go out there with us?
I would love to go out.
All
with
right.
you.
So let's
I'm about to have a lot of free time.
let's pick a date. Let's pick a
We'll
date.
make it a mandate.
Yeah, a mandate.
Yeah, you can
Doug
go.
Doug is volunteering.
Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, but I tell you what, where Adam is headed, because he's moving to the D.C. region.
We talked about it.
And where he's headed, there are a plethora of great
breweries?
craft breweries in the Maryland and Virginia area, especially in kind of the D.C. surrounding
Right,
area.
right.
There's just tons of them. Frederick, Maryland, which is maybe about 45 minutes out of D.C. Oh, several great craft breweries there. So go and check them out and report back. Do segments and send them. Have Brianna hold up the phone and record your yeah. It'd be Adam's moment. Adam checking in from different craft breweries around DC. I love it. So, guys, I think it's time to do another beer. And Ian's got this one here, and I loved this because it was very sci-fi looking to me, and I'm kind of a sci-fi geek, and so I picked it up. It actually kind of looked like it reminded me of Mass Effect, the video game, and but it's called Mass X Acceleration. And here we are about to taste a double IPA. And this comes to us from Equilibrium Brewery in Middletown, New York. And I'll be honest, I picked it just because of the name and the label. And sometimes you have to do that.
Oh, that reminds me of another one. Sigma.
No, Sigma is now equal parts.
Sigma is gone.
But
Now
you guys
it's
have been equal parts.
Have not been to equal parts, no.
Does that count as 2 breweries? I've been to both. And it's
Why
the same
did they change
place.
the name? Sigma was great.
I don't know, because we were about to have them on the show as Sigma, and they said, you know what, we're about to go through a name change, let's wait until after that. And we
get
haven't
everybody?
quite been able to line them up just
did we
yet.
get everybody?
I'm gonna short
I think
pour
we're good. Yep, we're good.
Ooh,
So here we
smells
go.
good.
Mass X Acceleration. Oh, very, very citrusy on the nose.
Ooh,
I'm guessing some
Tons of-
citra hops involved.
tons of okay.
Oh, it's got-
No,
it's got
say it. I want to see if we do it at the same time. There's a distinctive fruit in this. You taste it?
Haven't tasted it yet.
Oh my god.
I was just
Passion
talking about
fruit?
the nose.
Okay, go ahead and say it. No, not passion
I was gonna say
fruit.
it's got a dank on the nose already, just right off the bat.
I wanted to see if we were all going to say the same fruit at the same time because it tastes very specifically like a certain type of fruit juice.
Grapefruit juice?
Grapefruit juice,
Yeah.
It's incredibly grapefruity.
Because I love grapefruit juice.
I love grapefruit juice.
In fact, one of my favorite things to do, I hate peeling grapefruit. So sometimes
It's
I'll
a very grapefruity finish.
Sometimes I'll get up in the morning and see that my wife has peeled a grapefruit for me. So then what I do is I take it and I break it apart, and I actually take the skin of the individual piece off the membrane, and I just eat the pulp with a little salt, and it's
There's
so
a kiss of
good.
sweet maltiness in the middle of this. It's very
Yes,
attractive.
I know what you're
There was
talking
something psychotic about what you just said.
about. Oh, it's a thing. Absolutely. Absolutely.
We pull it apart and
Pull it
I
apart,
hear
take
it sounds like it's
I'm sorry, if I was
screaming.
paying attention, I
Peel-
should have actually
Peel away the membrane.
I should have actually underscored that whole thing. I just
Something in a minor key, I would hope.
yes.
It's got a grapefruit's one of the most fascinating
I love grapefruit.
fruits and beers. Mm-hmm. It's very grapefruity, nothing but grapefruit.
Did you have some fava beans with your grapefruit?
With my
Just
nice
asking.
grapefruit. We've had beers with grapefruit before, but they, as I remember, were a little sweeter than this. This does not have as much of that sweetness. It's
toned down.
more like the tartness of the actual grapefruit, which a lot of people think grapefruit is sour, but really isn't that sour if you're just getting to the pulp, like I like to do with a little bit of salt. It's fabulous.
I absolutely adore this man.
What, for playing his little grapefruit
Well, just there's some
interlude?
there's an ominous tone to your obsession with grapefruit, and he's very much underscoring it.
When Ian's album comes out, this track will be called "Ode to Grapefruit." I like
This
it.
be you pontificating on
I like
grapefruit.
Grapefruit's one of the
I dig this. In
Cruze,
fact,
Cruze, I need you to come into the
I want
studio. Here's some beer, and I need you to just talk about grapefruit for about 40 minutes. I'll edit it down.
not a problem. I can handle that.
I'm
can
going
do
to join
it.
you. I'm going to have a little
This
more.
will not be the this will not be the first time. So good stuff.
You
Very
finish it?
good stuff.
He's just in here naked with a bag of grapefruits. What's going on?
In a beanbag chair.
Sounds like a good time to me. So
Thanks. I'm going to try to poke out my mind's eye for the rest of the day.
You know what? It happens. It
This
happens.
is very good. I'm very happy.
Yeah,
with this.
I like this quite a bit actually. It's
No mention of the grapefruit whatsoever on the thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like you would have leaned in on that.
So I love the finish on this, but I love that malty sweetness right in the middle of this. That is so good.
yeah, it really
That
is.
is reminiscent of the best of big IPAs.
Oh, speaking of IPAs,
It's a lot like a very, very baby version of the 120 minute has a lot of that malty middle to it.
you're absolutely right.
Very syrupy, that one. Did you know that Lone Star switched to, or not Lone Star, Yellow Rose switched to cans?
I was just about to say that.
I didn't know that. I
I
hadn't seen
picked
that.
up a 6-pack this week, and I'm so excited, of Lone Pint Yellow Rose in 12-ounce cans.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Instead of the box?
Wait a minute. You're the bottle guy.
I
You
know.
like the bottles. Why are you so excited about cans? I love cans.
It's a simple reason. Because the bottle of Lone Pint Yellow Rose is a larger bottle. It's not quite 16 ounces, but it's larger. So it is more than a glass when you pour it.
But that's like the prize. That's like the extra bit of milkshake that
He's
you get.
He's complaining about excess alcohol. I don't understand.
That's like
I
the
don't
extra
understand.
bit of
No,
milkshake
it's
at the bottom
There's
of the
too much of a good thing?
mixer
Is that what you're
thing.
saying?
Here's what you guys don't understand.
You
Her
pour it in
boobs
your
are too
glass. and
big.
you've got
Here's
that.
what you don't understand. When I opened the bottle of Lone Pint Yellow Rose, and I pour it, and then there's a little bit left, so I stick it in the freezer while I drink the first part. Then I pull it back out, I pour the rest.
Frozen.
No, it's not that. It's like now I have to open another one. Like it's like with the cans, you can have one glass.
Oh, serving.
You are
You like
doing
the serving
glass?
size.
You are doing this backwards, sir. You open the bottle. When the bottle slightly exceeds your vessel,
Yeah,
then you pour the bottle into your vessel
yeah.
right to the top where it's
Right.
perfect. And then you drink the bottle and then move on to your vessel.
That's how you do it. So actually, what I do is when
I thought everybody knew
I
that.
just,
When
I'm
I
just
open a-
excited he said the word vessel so many times.
I say grapefruit, he says vessel.
Receptacle?
I don't think
Glass.
we're not getting
Why are
any
you
better.
going to more or more? What do you call them? Syllables.
So I will tell you what I do though. If it's a 16-ounce can or a larger bottle, is I actually get 2 glasses out of the freezer because I like my beer really cold.
Right.
I get 2 glasses out of the freezer. I pour one to where it's almost full. Then I put that one in the freezer. Then I take what's left, pour it in. It's maybe like a third to half of a glass. I drink that, and that gives the one I put in the freezer just time enough to start.
You know how
icing
hard
over
it is to
slightly on the top.
shotgun a Yellow Rose IPA out of a bottle?
But
No,
what
not with the straw.
no, but I was excited.
That's why I like you. You're a solution
I was
guy.
excited.
Like,
to,
you're very much about the solution. You don't even
I was
think about the
excited to
problem.
bring
You're
home
like,
a 6-pack of Lone Pint Yellow Rose. That
I'm
was fun.
excited too. I saw it online. I can't wait to buy it. I've not purchased it yet.
Man, when I was at the brewery last, they had the Gentleman's Relish, and they
Mm-hmm.
had it on Nitro, and it was outrageously good.
Adam came over with his wife a little while back and brought that double IPA. What is that called? Do you remember
Jabberwocky.
the name? Jabberwocky. Thanks.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What a wonderful beer that is too.
That's B52, right?
No,
No,
it's
that's
Yellow
Lone
Rose. Lone Pint, rather.
It's Imperial.
It's their Imperial IPA. Yeah.
Jabberwocky.
Packs a punch, but it's got just the greatest flavor profile to it. Really. But I'm telling you, I love this. Let's see that can one more time. This is the
This is good.
Mass X Acceleration, and it is from our.
I'm not really comfortable with this long string of IPAs that are really good that we've been having.
I know you've been like. See, I think what it is I've been choosing them.
I think we've
wisely.
only had one in the last month that I just was like, nah, that sucks.
I'll try to get something really big and hoppy for you next
I
time.
actually never say that sucks. I just say it's not to my palate.
That's right.
From the vessel that I'm...
Except when we tried the Montucky cold snack that Kris wanted us to try.
You hated it, right?
It's terrible.
We both did. You still like it though?
I don't hate it. It's just shitty beer.
Well,
Who doesn't love a good shitty beer?
I love a good Lone Star. I would put that in that
I'll
category.
put a cold Lone Star
I
on
mean,
it. But
for the sake of the female audience, I'm not going to use the analogy I was about to, but there's to me the light, thin, daily sessionable yard cigars, beers. They fill a void, but they're not like I like a Yingling.
I don't know
And
that I can.
Yingling's good. It
It's
has
okay.
flavor.
Yingling's fine. I don't know that I can back this statement up, but I'm going to go ahead and say that I might choose. If you had a Montucky cold snack next to a Milwaukee's Best,
Ew.
I might choose the Milwaukee's Best. I don't know. It's
Still
tough.
blind.
I think I would choose a Miller Lite over a Montucky.
I would
Cold
do a
Snack.
Miller Lite.
I would do
Yeah.
a Miller Lite definitely over a Montucky.
Maybe not a
Cold
Bud
Snack.
Light, but a Miller Lite for sure.
Bud Light's not good.
No,
It just
no.
really
It's
isn't.
terrible.
It just really isn't a
really,
good
really
beer.
bad.
You go to the freaking baseball game and you pay the $15 for a Bud Light. You have a good time with your family.
No, you just got to go all the way around. It's
Right.
keep
going,
Right
yeah.
field. You got to go all the way around to the back corner of right field, and you can buy good beer.
Okay,
Yeah. St. Arnold is back there.
It's
Can I-
like level 3?
Yep.
Is that right? Level 3?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shit on Carbach in general. I think that the people that own Carbach, you build a business, you sold a business, you take care of your family. I am not.
I get that. Yeah.
I totally get it. However, there's some Carbach beers I'd much rather have a cold snack or a Miller Lite or a glass of warm piss than.
But you're not going to shit on them.
Yeah. But like Hopadillo and Love Street, I'm just kind of Art Car. I'm sick of it. I'm sick
Well,
of
our car. Now, hang on. Our car is St. Arnold,
it. Sorry. Oops.
and let me just say, and this is a good time for me to
Haven't
bring
been
this
drinking,
up.
sir.
I want to thank St. Arnold for Art Car. It's not my favorite IPA, but thank God it exists because it seems to be the one beer here in Houston that makes it into the
Everywhere.
menu that is not a macro brew or a Carbach.
Well, we've said this before. Places like Buffalo Wild Wings that have, and I'm not joking, they have 20 taps.
Right.
And they only have 2 drinkable beers on
Right.
there.
Sam,
It's amazing. Sam Adams
and
a St. Arnold.
Yeah, St. Arnold. Yeah.
Oh, and sometimes Shiner. So you maybe
Right,
get
right.
3.
Maybe
20
3.
taps?
Yeah.
And you only have 3 beers that are worth
That's
a crap?
17 shitty beers and 3 decent ones.
Like,
But
that's amazing.
I've never had 3 Art Cars in a row and been happy with my life.
Well,
I'd much rather, if you're going to be out in the heat or going
okay,
to do...
so what you need to try, let me suggest 2 St. Arnolds for you.
Okay.
Okay. Their hazy IPA,
Which one? What's it called?
it's actually called Juicy IPA.
Okay. I've
The
had
Juicy
it.
IPA.
Yep.
Wonderful. And they have a pale ale, I think it's a hazy pale ale called Harmony, that is absolutely fantastic. Now, that's just staying in the IPA and pale ale category.
Sure.
If you want to go, I was at a Torchy's Tacos this week.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking
and
of garbage places.
they had, I don't know, the taco I had was pretty good. They had, though, St. Arnold's Summer Pills
Summer Pils is great.
Summer
on
Pils is good.
tap.
Summer Pils
Summer
is
Pils is
And
great.
let me tell you, that beer on tap was fantastic.
Summer Pils has, to me, you remember the first time you ever tried a Fat Tire? And you got that
yeah.
big
First craft beer I ever loved.
malty,
Yeah,
bready,
malty, chocolatey,
and you
bready,
get it
yeah.
real fresh because it would just be like the keg would just be, oh my gosh, it's so good. Summer Pils has that to me every single
Yeah,
time.
that's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Whereas Fat Tire now, I'll still order it.
It's fallen off.
But it's not always that kind of fresh.
No.
It just doesn't, like, you can tell the difference.
There was a day when I used to actually enjoy occasionally having a Rolling Rock. Have you tried one in the last few
Oh, my
years?
God.
Back when
They're
it was actually made in
terrible.
Latrobe, they were
But they're
fine.
terrible now.
I used to drink them all the time at
Yeah.
Last Concert Cafe. That
Yeah.
was my go-to beer up there. But then
Rolling
they
Rock.
sold, and they
Now, do you
kept the
think
bottle
it's
the
them
same.
or you?
What's that?
Do you think that your taste have evolved or?
No, they changed it like big time changed it. Now it's like one of the cheapest, like most terrible things. And I know this because about 5 or 6 years ago, I bought the 30-pack. I was like, oh, Rolling Rock, cheap. I'll buy it. Can't be that bad.
It was.
It was bad.
It is. It took me like 6 months to use it on my grill. For just
good.
flavoring
Yeah,
stuff,
for
just to get
flavoring
rid of that 30-pack.
Yeah,
it was.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, all I mean is that whenever I want something, a crisp lager, if we're doing anything, if we're going to outside, or we're going to go smoke, we're going to hang out, we're going to sit down, I want 3 or 4 beers. I want something that's not going to just...
Not going to, like, fill you up too much.
I feel like Hopadillo and some of they've gotten so kind of almost acrid. Like, just, they're... You can only have 2, and then I'm like, I want something else.
Let's call it an IPA.
No, not if you know the IPA to drink, my friend.
Or this one. I'd have 6 of these.
That's pretty damn good. Yeah.
So I saw you.
Fantastic
I saw
beer.
you laughing at the comments. Ian, anything to share?
Wiki Brian just says I would abstain.
Yeah.
He's just out.
We're all talking about our lowest common denominator. I would drink this. I would drink that.
He's like, I would just
abstain.
And he is literally that guy. He's funny like that. He's a very extreme character.
Yeah, I appreciate his contribution to the program.
You have an upcoming
Always
birthday?
appreciate.
What's that?
Your birthday's coming?
It's Saturday.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I'm going to be old.
What's old?
Hey, it happens.
49.
It happens.
Are you really?
brother.
Shut the door.
You kids.
You're almost 50?
Uh-huh.
You might be old enough to be my dad. And I've never met him.
You kids.
That was awkward. That was really, really awkward.
Tell 'em I'm so high.
All right. According to bartenders who were polled and asked what they would recommend as the best whiskey for beginners, I have a short list here.
Okay.
And most of them are not specific. And so what I mean by that is most of it is just a brand, but not necessarily saying
A specific
A specific
which
SKU, right.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. So here are the brands. Best whiskey for beginners, according to bartenders. Four Roses, Elijah Craig, Buffalo Trace, Larceny Bourbon.
No,
questionable.
that's the
Definitely
only one.
questionable.
So far, you're good up to Larceny.
Yeah.
Larceny's
All right.
garbage.
All right. Rittenhouse Rye Bottled in Bond.
Fantastic.
And now here, of course, they get very specific. Glenmorangie Nectar d'Or.
So the reason why they got specific is because Rittenhouse only has one product.
Okay.
So Four Roses has 5 or 6,
Right,
that
right,
sort
right.
of thing. So
Nectar d'Or's a funny one. That's a Sauterne cask?
yes, and I believe it's pronounced Door.
Door.
Nectar
Okay.
d'Or.
Yeah, and I know that only because a Scotsman yelled at me for saying Dior. He said,
Okay.
"This is not. This is not
It is
Dior,
not
which is an
Christian
Italian."
Dior.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Glenmorangie Nectar d'Or.
Yep. $55 bottle. Fantastic deal.
I would say the Lasanto would probably be.
Ooh,
is-
Yeah,
Lasanto
see,
or the Quinta
Santos-
Ruban.
The Quinta
Quinta
Ruban
Ruban,
is
yeah,
my
both of
favorite.
those,
yeah,
like-
fantastic.
What about Weller?
Oh, of course.
100%.
100%.
Macallan 18.
No, way overpriced.
That's
it's
expensive, but it's good.
it's an iconic pour. Mm-hmm. It's in the premium space. If you were to go into any bar anywhere that had an expensive bottle on the shelf, most guaranteed, like 90% of the time, they're going to have that.
Okay.
Macallan 18 is a
So
staple.
it's findable, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Almost everywhere. And then Suntory Toki is the last one.
Okay, so here's the thing about Toki. Toki's actually not bad. Tons of bananas, very reasonably priced at $30, give or take. Perfect for cocktails, highballs. It's not, however, it was meant for the bar. So it was developed, designed, meant to be mixed with cocktails.
To be a mixing
So-
mixing drink, right?
So of course you're going to find it at bars all over the city. But I wouldn't buy it for your home bar unless you plan to
Use
make
it for cocktails.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about drinkable and mixable? Something like a Monkey Shoulder, I think.
Same thing.
I-
Same thing. Monkey Shoulder's a blend of.
Right, but it's very drinkable on its own too. I think
I remember that.
he's not
the
saying anything. He doesn't agree.
So the very first
love you.
show we did, show number 1,
Yeah,
you brought in the whiskey
did. I
and you
brought
brought
in
Monkey Shoulder. And I remember really liking it.
that's
Okay,
fine.
I'll say this. I have not had, in my defense, I have not had Monkey Shoulder in probably 5 years because of that being my sentiment 5 years ago. I'm happy to revisit. I would love to. I'll bring in a Montucky Cold Snack, and you bring in some Monkey Shoulder.
You've already Montucky cold snacked us twice.
Right.
Once, that one day.
No,
Twice.
no, twice.
Before?
Twice, yeah. You had us try it one time when you were on a show, and then the next time when we did the hard pour thing, you gave us Montucky Cold Snack, and we were both like, "Wow, what is this?" Shit?
I think I recall this. Look at the trauma scars on
I've been,
And I've only malorted you once.
I was going to say, I've been Montucky'd twice and malorted twice. And,
Malord is, you can only malord me once.
yeah. Well, Ian,
Malord me once, shame on you. Malord me twice, I'm going to stab you in the neck.
well, I got to tell you, Ian took special pride in malording me the second time. He enjoyed it even more than the first.
That was
I'm
so
convinced.
funny.
Oh my God. That's just, and of course, we generally try to be somewhat diplomatic here on the show. So we're less likely to scream out, "This sucks." But
that's what sells Malort. That's the best part.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I still don't.
It's kind of like the whole Primus sucks thing, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Malort's a perfect example of how if you just suck long enough, you become iconic.
At least they're consistent, right?
Yeah. If you just suck long enough, you can have a successful brand.
That's
And-
a testament to consistency.
And I think the Houston Texans are showing that is, in fact, a doable thing. I think it's a doable thing. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back. A little bit more to taste on the program. And, of course, we still have drinking news to go. So you stand by. We'll get there next. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. This is the program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are on show number 280. Our special guest is our resident whiskey expert, Kris Hart. And I love bringing lists out for him about whiskey that someone's put together, because it's always, that's good, that's good, that's good,
right.
that's garbage.
All right. I have to interrupt this. Hold
Yes.
on. Do we have a
What are you looking for there, buddy?
I need a cup.
Well, that's
I
something
just tasted this at room temperature.
Oh, you're talking about the
Birthday
cake.
cake.
The birthday
Yeah.
cake. And I
But
want to tell you that
congratulations.
this is fantastic at room temperature.
Really? I would have
I
guessed
think
it
I
needed to-
actually like it better.
I would have guessed it needed to be cold.
You guys try it. Here, pass one to him.
All right.
Like, it's fantastic at room temperature.
I mean, the nose
I like
on
it
it.
better.
It smells even cakier than before.
No, the way the sour is delivered is even better.
The nose
That
on it is
really
tremendous.
quite good. Really quite good. Wonderful.
Yeah, I would just leave those at room temperature, I think.
Wonderful. All right. Speaking of room temperature, it's time for drinking news.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. Well, welcome to Drinking News, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me say a big thanks to my co-host, Ian, for finding this week's Drinking News story.
So this is actually from my very new brother-in-law, Michael, who's actually watching the show, I think, somewhere.
Well,
there.
Michael, thank you for drawing this to our attention.
He sent that to me, and I forwarded it to you.
As you may know, Drinking News is sometimes, but not always, stories about drinking, but it is always a story that you will probably enjoy the most if you've been drinking. And by the way, you're right, this is really good at room temperature.
It is, isn't it? Like, better even, I think.
Wait, so you guys do news, not necessarily about drinking, but things you might enjoy while you're drinking?
Right.
Yes.
Just news stories. Sometimes they are about drinking, sometimes they're not. But they're always stories that you will enjoy the most if you've been.
It's drinking news, not because it's about drinking, but it's because we are drinking while we tell this news.
Exactly.
So now would be the time for Cruze to find out what Amber Heard did to Johnny Depp's bed. The first time I heard that story, I was drinking. And it was one of the funniest things I had ever heard.
I haven't heard that story.
Just shows to go you.
Are you being serious?
I literally haven't heard that story.
Oh, her new nickname is Amber Turd because she shit in his bed.
You've
What
heard
the
you've heard-
hell kind of thought process?
You've heard the
it made
expression.
you've not heard this?
You've heard the expression "shit the bed."
Yeah.
Now you know what it really
And
means.
she blamed it on the dog, and he was like, "Our dog's not that big."
Wait a second. Like, is this like I was sleeping and oops, or is this like I
No, this
got up
is-
and did the whole
I don't
full
know the whole
squeezy
story,
face
but I would go look
while
it up.
bending over?
She tried to blame it on the dog.
And by the way, it's worth watching. There's some clips on YouTube. It's worth watching Johnny Depp on the stand.
Oh, you heard
He's
his
hilarious.
I've
Happy hour
watched
thing?
a couple
Yeah,
clips
it's
of that.
hilarious.
I've
So
watched a
you
couple
would
clips, but
often
I didn't
drink
hear
in
the
the
whole
mornings, correct?
Yeah.
sitting on the bed thing. That's I like I'm flabbergasted by the thought process.
This is
like,
probably more over the top than drinking news.
what's hilarious about that is in her mind she went, you know what I'm going to do?
Or what I have to do. It sounds like an emergency situation.
I have
I
a feeling
need to
it was,
get on top of this bed
I have a feeling it was premeditated. Yes.
and make the squeezy face.
Oh, it seemed spiteful, whatever it was.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because why else would you do that? I mean, if you're in a bed, the bathroom is not that far away.
Speaking of which, I made you something for your birthday this weekend. It's at home.
Oh, nice.
It's called Mr. Hanky.
Mr. Hanky.
All right. Well, we've all been to a party where the punch has been spiked. And usually you can tell it right away, like when I went to a party back in high school and the host had spiked it with a bottle of Everclear. There's really no way that you can take a drink of that stuff and not know that punch was spiked. I mean, that's a very distinct, and quite frankly, the worst tasting raspberry punch I've ever had. I mean, Everclear is,
I love it when
It's
people are like,
awful.
no, you can't taste Overclear. It has no flavor.
yeah, right.
You'll be able to tell it's in there.
But what if it wasn't the punch? What if instead it was the food? And what if it was spiked not with booze, but with pot? A Florida woman got married in February. And her wedding party, and I'm quoting BuzzFeed News here, devolved into full-blown weed-induced pandemonium. That's pretty good. You got to love that, right? The bride and her caterer were arrested on Monday for allegedly serving cannabis-laced food to the unsuspecting guests.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Wait. So the bride and the caterer. So the husband was like, no. It's all you. I always wonder that situation. Is he perceived as a bad guy for not? No, take me. Leave her alone. Like, what's the situation there?
Well, a 42-year-old Danya Shea Svoboda and the caterer, 31-year-old
Is that how you
Jocelyn
pronounce her name, or is that
Montrese
just
Bryant.
after you eat the food.
We call this drinking
That's
news
a
for a
complicated
reason.
name.
Svoboda. They've been charged with tampering with food, delivery of marijuana, and culpable negligence. Police responded to the wedding in Longwood, Florida, after emergency responders were called to treat, and I'm quoting again here, numerous guests at the reception for symptoms consistent with that of someone who had just used illegal drugs, according to the affidavit. Many
I
of
got
the-
this great baggie of weed. The guy called it, man, I'm going to need somebody to give me a ride home.
Many of the guests told police they felt high, and some reported feeling physically ill. Some were hospitalized for their symptoms and later tested positive for having consumed cannabis, according to police. Police took, and I love this, lasagna for testing from the scene. And sure enough, it turned up positive. One guest told police, and this is what I like most about this story, is the descriptions of the guests. One guest told police that after he ate 2 meatballs, Caesar salad, tortellini, and bread with olive oil and herbs that, quote, he felt tingly and his heart started to race and he was having crazy thoughts, end quote. Another guest who was hospitalized said she felt like she had no control of her mind and body, and she felt numb, helpless, and her mind was playing strange things in her head.
That's an in-law.
Such as seeing the side of a house.
Dramatic.
The woman felt paranoid, believing that a family member had died, and became so loud and unruly at the hospital that she had to be given something to calm her down, according to court documents. Another who reported feeling weird, tingly, fidgety, and had extreme dry mouth, told police he had asked the groom what was in the food. The groom stated, "Let me check on what's going on," and then walked away and never returned.
Run away. That's fight or flight right there.
Police questioned the newlyweds at the scene about their role in the incident, asking if they had consented to or requested the addition of cannabis to the food. In response, the groom allegedly stared at the officer with a blank expression for a few moments before stuttering, "No." The guest told police that she...
Do you suppose this whole scheme was, I'm going to do this, cooked up by the bride.
One has to wonder. One guest reported becoming dizzy and vomiting after consuming the food. She initially believed it to have been from the alcohol, but
That's what happens when you drink and then have a bunch of weed.
Yeah, she'd only had 2 drinks and said she began feeling ill after eating. When her sister went to the kitchen to get her some water, a member of the kitchen staff, who was not the caterer, allegedly told her, well, there's cannabis in the food, and she thought that the guests had known. Another guest told police she'd seen Bryant, the arrested caterer, adding a, quote, green and fuzzy substance that smelled like marijuana into dishes of olive oil. She then asked if there was marijuana in the food, and the caterer said yes, according to the affidavit. The guest didn't believe Bryant was serious, so later, they consumed bread with the olive oil, and after realizing she felt high, she asked the bride if the food was laced. The bride said yes and acted like the guest should be excited, as if she'd been given a gift, according to the affidavit. The guest said that the bride told her
That's
she
like,
put
oh my
marijuana
God,
in
yes,
the
I'm
oil.
glad you noticed.
Yeah.
I had such high hopes that you would have liked it.
This is my favorite part. After speaking to the bride, the guest said she felt like her heart was going to stop, so she went to her car and went to sleep. She reported feeling terrified, according to court documents. So she sent a text to herself in case she died in her car so that someone would know what had happened.
Have these people never been high?
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is what you start to wonder about this, right? Another guest who went to the hospital said she felt severely drugged the next morning and told police she texted the bride to ask what she'd consued.
You know, they
Supposedly-
left out like all the guests that were like, badass, man.
The bride told the guest that she was facing felony charges and was really sorry, but she'd retained an attorney and couldn't talk about what happened. Svoboda and Bryant, the bride and the caterer, have been released on bail and are expected to be arraigned on June the 7th. In an unrelated story, a different wedding last month in Tallahassee turned into a similar incident after the caterer spiked the punch there with a bottle of Mad Dog 2020. No arrests were made.
Oh
but
my
there-
God, could you not taste that terribleness?
No arrests were made, but there was a great deal more vomiting. So just so you know. So next time you're getting married or throwing a party and you want to spike the punch or put weed in the Nutella mini pancake kebabs, consider your audience. The people at this Florida wedding were clearly not experienced with pot or even pot brownies, as evidenced by all this paranoia and fear of dying.
They left out the quote at the end where Uncle Carl was looking for more of the lasagna.
I'd venture to guess that that's not what you want at your wedding, or what you want your wedding or any party to be remembered for, right?
Well, I mean, if I were them, and this is a tip for anyone listening, if you want to do this in the future, you can test for weed, which means you're automatically guilty. So obviously, use mushrooms.
Interestingly,
You can't test for mushrooms, and they're more fun.
Interestingly, Taco Bell drive-thrus in Longwood, Florida, reported record sales and long lines that seemed to coincide with the wedding guests leaving the Svoboda wedding and headed home. But I'm sure that was just a coincidence.
Right.
Reporting from Florida, where the wedding guests were actually higher than the musicians in the band at the reception. My name is Cruze, and that is your...
Drinking news, drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been sipping on this during drinking
you already
news.
tasted it?
Yes, and I'm finding it to be quite pleasant. What am I drinking?
All right, so let's talk about this. I've got a buddy named Gene Nassif. He owns a distillery called Cat's Eye Distillery, and I believe in Iowa or Idaho. I don't know the difference, but if we're being honest, it doesn't matter. They're the same place.
They are a little ways apart, but I agree with you.
But yeah, but still generic, generic U.S. state.
That
Insert name
means
here.
nothing, right?
That's that. What do they call it? A flyover state?
Gene likes to do extreme fun experiments. This, and I don't know if you knew this, but
spicy.
Yes.
COVID is killed once alcohol reaches 60% alcohol. In fact, most,
No wonder I never caught it.
yeah, just kept drinking high proof alcohol.
Yeah.
You just got to keep your blood level.
Yeah.
Most bacteria is killed, in the 50 to 60 range. But if you really just want to play it safe, the 60% ABV is what plays it safe to kill COVID.
Well, forget about horse, dewormer. This is way better.
So anybody that sneezes around me, I just take a swig of my.
This is 75.5%.
It's huge.
Moly, the Magi.
This is 151 proof.
Wow.
It's Canadian whiskey that's 26 years old. I love everything Gene does. I'm not super big on the label design, but I can help him with that. It's
Show that to the camera, Ian.
75.5% alcohol, 26-year-old Canadian whiskey. It's fantastic.
It really is.
Agreed.
It is definitely. It definitely falls into the overproofed category, but it's fantastic. Woo!
Everything from nose to gut has been sanitized.
This is this is a good way to go about it. And the whiskey hug is like,
Oh, that's not a whiskey hug.
Yeah.
That is a whiskey strangle. And Kevin Spacey gave it to me.
oh my god. I had a buddy of mine from Philadelphia that owned a chain of Irish pubs in the Philadelphia area, who told me years ago, we were drinking at his bar, and he told me the story that he had been in a bar in New York and wound up sitting on the stool next to Kevin Spacey, and that Kevin Spacey came onto him. This was years before any of the current allegations and stuff. And I'm like, dude, you're so full of it. You think you not only think every woman wants you think every gay man wants you. And besides, it's Kevin Spacey. What are you talking about? These days, I'm starting to believe. After Usual Suspects, before House of Cards.
He was Kevin Spacey. He was famous.
Right. After, my buddy said he almost thought about it. But
I mean, for the story alone, I'm not even gay, but that'd be one hell of a story.
But at the time, I thought my buddy was full of it. I was like, oh, come on, this is just another one of your drunk stories. And he had a few good drunk stories, but those were some fun nights hanging out with him in Philly. Anyway, that was a sidebar. I'm not even sure why we went there. But this is
drinking.
This is good.
It's because of drinking news.
Yeah. I think it probably. Well, this is, and so is this commercially available?
Not in Texas. It is. I think he did a short run of it. I don't even think anyone's going to be able to get it, to be honest. It's a one-off, but it's so fun. The high age statement, and honestly, Canadian whiskey for years has been kind of a low-quality produced,
kind of a second-class whiskey,
high watered down, just for the sake of getting drunk, because your dad drank Seagrams and 7 for 40 years. Mm-hmm. And what's happened is there's so much excess Canadian whiskey lying around. A lot of it is actually quite fantastic if you don't mess with it.
Right.
Don't water it down 80 proof. Don't screw with it. Throw it in an ex-bourbon barrel. Play around with it. Blend it. And so the last couple of years, you've seen a surge in high-proof Canadian offerings that are actually brilliant.
How many years did it take you to get to the understanding level that you're at now with whiskey, with barrel aging, with some of the things that you talk about? Because it strikes me as so interesting. Like, you didn't come out of a distilling background. This is just something you picked up and learned along the way, right?
Yes. I mean, I would liken it to this. And when I was in high school, I played bass, Battle of the Bands. The name of our band was Blank Canvas.
Nice.
That's very artistic.
We were awful.
Hey, man, we all had an awful high school, man.
As much as I love music, I'm not Ian. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that strike a chord with certain people a certain way that you obsess about it. And right. I think cigars, radio. I mean, I've had some conversations with you about music that I'm like, man, I thought I liked music. And then I'm afraid at times. I think I told you once I'm a big fan of Coheed and Cambria, and you're like, all right. Like,
no, I was
down
on Coheed and Cambria.
You heard it in his voice. He's like,
I wasn't down on him.
No, there's a everyone in this room.
All right, hold on. Coheed and Cambria. What's the singer's name? So
the guy with the super high voice,
Sylvester or whatever his name is.
I always forget it.
Can't think of it. Have either of you ever watched the 2 Minutes to Late Night show?
No.
There's a show called 2 Minutes to Late Night. It's ridiculous and funny, and you should totally watch it. But they always have guest bands on. Mm-hmm. But through COVID, what they've been doing is they'll pick a song, and then they'll have people from different bands record their parts. Claudia, yeah. They'll have people from different bands record their parts, and there's a version of Anthem from Rush that's got Les Claypool on bass and that guy singing, and a bunch of other people you know.
Well, he's got a Geddy Lee-ish voice, so.
Oh man, It is ripping and absolutely awesome. Totally watch that.
There's a couple of songs of theirs that I could literally listen on repeat for 3 weeks straight and not ever change the song.
All right, so I'll jump in then with my current obsession, which is a band from the Dallas area called Blacktop Mojo. Good, old-fashioned, down and dirty rock and roll.
Nice.
I think it's something you would like, Ian.
Do you dig country at all? Do you know
Little
who
bit,
Ryan
yeah.
Bingham is?
Yeah.
Country.
Yeah. Oh, I love Ryan Bingham. Ryan Bingham is going to be in the spinoff to Yellowstone.
The 4-6's Ranch or whatever it is.
Yeah. Did you have Ryan on your show? Is that what you asked?
Not yet. He came by the distillery and he wants to do a whiskey, and he wants me to be a part of that process. A Texas straight bourbon whiskey. The guy's in
Nice.
Texas. He's from Texas.
Yeah, he's Austin boy.
He's been around a long time. In fact, he went to high school here in Houston for a little bit, and he's incredible. I love the guy, and I'm not a big country guy.
So he had his song, The Weary Kind, was the centerpiece of the movie Crazy Heart with
Yep.
probably
He won a Grammy for it, right?
Probably, I think he did. Probably my favorite actor, Jeff Bridges. I love Jeff
He's
Bridges.
incredible.
He's great in the movie.
He's got his
Ryan's
own,
song is great in the movie.
He's got his own signature guitar from Breedlove.
Who?
Jeff Bridges.
Nice. That's
You know
really
the Jeff
cool.
Bridges, that movie with the rug?
Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
He was
The
a-
movie with the rug? I've never
With
heard
the
it
rug,
described
yeah.
that way.
That's-
But it really
it's-
did tie the room
yeah.
together.
Yeah, God, I love you so much. You're the best dad. So no, he actually does love White Russians. And-
Jeff Bridges actually does.
Yes, and when we approached his publicist about doing the show, I was like, I'd love to have a whiskey with him. And she goes, he's more of a White Russian guy. The way that I worded the email didn't quite win her over.
Right.
And she added like a little cherry on top of the insult, a little salt in the wound, and was like, plus, he's more of a White Russian guy. So because of that one engagement, now anytime we approach a celebrity, we always open it to no specific spirit.
You're right. Whatever they want to drink.
We
right?
always just say over a few drinks.
That's smart. That's smart.
Jeff
Well,
Bridges, great white whale.
Jeff Bridges. He's
He's fantastic.
he is just the man. He is just the man. And Big Lebowski is one of those movies that it is impossible to see that movie too many times. It is as rewatchable as any movie ever made.
I
in my
think
opinion.
it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, perfectly fine.
Sorry, that came out the wrong way.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Uh-oh.
What I mean is, I don't think of it as amazing. It has amazing moments, but I'm never tired of it.
Must
Right.
be
I've seen
exhausting
it
to
100
believe
times.
in nothing.
I mean,
John Goodman in that movie.
John Goodman.
Can you get any better than that?
John Goodman and I always forget his name. You don't mess with the Jesus.
Yes. I'll think of it
Barton
in a second.
Fink,
Yes.
John Turturro.
John Turturro.
yes.
Thank you.
John Turturro. Amazing. There's a great show
He's
out
so
right
good.
now with him called Severance.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard it's really good.
John Turturro, John Goodman.
I will watch anything he's in, and I'm getting to that point with John Goodman too because he's just so good. Oh, brother, where art thou?
Incredible.
Oh my
yeah.
God,
Incredible.
So we're talking Coen Brothers movies, but like that's the string that ties all that together. And if you haven't watched The
Damn,
Righteous
we in a tight
Gemstones
spot.
I've watched it.
on
It's
HBO,
fantastic.
yeah,
I
fabulous.
grew up Pentecostal,
So
so
this,
the glamorous preacher thing,
yeah,
I'm very familiar with.
familiar with that,
My
yeah.
wife and I love
Damn,
the
we
Righteous
in a tight
Gemstones.
spot.
it was good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, let's try one more spirit here that you brought, Chris. This
All
is and
So the last thing I brought was
I'm very excited because I've had this before. Ian, you have not had this, and so I'm super psyched for you to taste this.
the last thing I brought was our 30-year-old cognac. So going back to pricing, we actually let's do this. We got to get everybody a drink.
And thank you for
Can I
bringing
borrow a
spirits,
little
by the
pour
way.
of your water?
Of course, yeah. Take some water.
I just need to swish my mouth out a little bit.
Going back to pricing, we purchased this liquid a slightly first quarter of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, within 2 months, the price had gone up 40%.
That's amazing.
So this really is, truly,
And what does this bottle actually retail for?
around $150 in Texas.
Right. So if you were to bottle this again, it would be at least $200, right?
I mean, we cut out the importation. We did it ourselves, and we cut out. We bottled it here so that it saved on taxes. So what happens is America only wants us to drink American products. That's what keeps the economy going.
So
So
right.
what
So
they
if you
do is
bottle
they-
it here, it's technically an American product, right?
Correct. Yeah. So they add tariffs to other cognac that's imported. So this is actually cheaper, less expensive than the producer's own product that's sold here in the U.S. because they get taxed the hell out of them. So this is 30-year-old, 100% Uni Blanc, 52.9% cask strength, unadulterated. There's just 1,200 bottles. You can only get this. I'm sorry. The 1,200 bottles is the 21-year. This is available in Texas, Louisiana, Florida, California, Colorado, and Kentucky.
And is there much of it out there? Is it hard to find?
We did a total blend of 3,880 bottles.
This feels like I burnt my tongue a little bit with overripe grapes and chocolate, and it's fantastic.
Chocolate and overripe grapes is one of the best descriptions I've heard from this.
This is fantastic.
It's just wonderful. It's
floral.
wonderful. It's wonderful in this really ultra premium spirit way. It really communicates that. I said
the retro hail on this is divine.
I said at the beginning of the show, I put this in the category with Reserva de la Familia tequila and the 25-year Flor de Caña rum. It's that kind of rarefied and special, and quite frankly, I'm a little surprised you can get it for $150.
It's you will not find a 30-year-old cask strength cognac anywhere close to this. It's all going to be $250 or more. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about half what it should be in terms of price. A big part of that is us importing it. No sales reps. No, it's just
Your overhead is lower.
It's
yeah.
me. It's just me, guys. Nice to meet you.
So, when you do a spirit like this, what makes you decide whether to put it under the Gregarious Grump label or to do something different like you did with the Prideful Goat?
So Prideful Goat is whiskey.
Right.
The current dream and from the beginning with Prideful Goat is whiskey. I've never wanted to do whiskey under the Gregarious Grump name.
So you've done rum, you've done cognac.
Correct.
Armagnac?
If we did, we've got some Armagnac samples. We've not yet selected that yet. But the...
Are we going to have an Armagnac-a-thon at some point? I just love that name. I texted you that, and you never texted me anything back.
Cognac-a-thon
Yeah.
and Armagnac-a-thon.
Cognac-a-thon.
Yeah, you can do it all.
Armagnac-a-thon.
As long as we're not going to have an Armagnac-a-palooza. that to me would be taking things too far.
Yeah. Well, currently this is, it's just a really good deal. And so Gregarious will always be your high-end rums, your cognacs, your Armagnacs, Calvados, Grappa, Sotol, Mezcal. I will never put whiskey under the Gregarious Grump name.
Okay. And will your whiskey always go into Prideful Goat, or?
I mean, and yes, that is my current feeling and belief.
And Gregarious Grump, where did the name come from? And because that can't be an accident.
No, it's not an accident. So, I admin the Houston Bourbon Society, about 13,000 people. And at times, I'm a very gregarious person. I love to drink. I love to hang out. I love to have a good time. I love to bond. I love to talk. But at around 8 to 11 p.m., the Facebook world can sometimes need to be, someone will post a meme. Like one year we had some guy post a meme at a Trump rally. I mean, no politics. No politics in the group, guys. Like, this is a safe zone for, and I hate using that term, but just...
But you want it to just be
spirits.
About spirits,
it's about
not
spirits,
about other
not about
things,
everything
right.
else.
Yeah,
So,
right.
and sometimes people are overly opinionated. If you were to post a bottle and just say, "Hey guys, I found this on the shelf. I love it," and someone's like, "That sucks." No. So we've got to slap the hands at times of those who maybe don't know how to filter their behavior online after a certain time. So my sister-in-law said, "You have to be the grumpiest, most gregarious person I know," and I said, "That would be a cool rap name, or a great bottle name." So Gregarious Grump Spirits were born. And I'm not grumpy by any means. I just, sometimes you've got to tell everyone to play nice. But yeah, so we started that. And the great thing about it is two things. Alliteration. Alliteration's great for branding. Two, if you Google it, only one thing will come up.
That is true. Yeah, that's absolutely true, because it's not something where somebody else
It's not something that
staked
I
a
have
claim.
BJ's will never be suing me.
It's still an unfortunate name. Come on. All right. Well, this is absolutely fantastic. Would you agree? And I mean, is this just
This is something very special.
Yeah.
Actually. This is very nice.
Yeah.
I'm
was
still
excited for you to
like,
try it.
it's funny because I'm sitting here sipping it, but at the same time, I'm just enjoying the aftertaste of it, which is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's very floral. All of that just aromatic, grapey, grape skin. I mean, it's
The vine,
yeah.
like the vine happens in the aftertaste. It's really, really pretty amazing.
So what's next for Gregarious Grump? More rums? You mentioned Armagnac, perhaps?
We'll probably not have more rum for a while. We're still working through rolling out into new states.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, we're trying to get into Oklahoma, Connecticut, Maryland, Delaware, New York, and New Jersey. So we will not be doing. I need to get those states established first, and then we'll be doing something else. But I'm thinking Armagnac. I'm thinking Calvados. I'm thinking. I'd love to do a little small batch Sotol.
That would be fun.
And part of me, with the delicate nature of someone like me doing a Sotol, I like the idea of paying the producer twice the amount of money and still being cheaper on the shelf, like honoring their craft without being,
Without being greedy about
manipulative and greedy. Yeah.
I like it. That's a very good idea. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back for our final segment. We still have one beer to taste, and this is the chocolate-covered strawberries from Hubbard's Cave. It's an Imperial Stout, and that's good because I think we needed a big beer at this point. I'm being facetious, but I still welcome it.
We need
Smoking
something
and
that'll keep
toasted.
up with the last couple of
Smoking and toasted.
or the last couple of spirits.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. All right, Ian's grinning as he looks at the beer. What is it?
No, I was actually going to say, I know what you're thinking. That guitar tone is amazing.
Yeah, a little flat, but amazing. Yeah. And so, welcome back. It is Smoking and Toasting. This is show number 280. So we've joked about being halfway to 300, but we have two special things that we want to do coming up, and one will be the 300th episode. So it's going to be sometime in September. We're
That's
putting
insane.
plans together for that now. But even before then, we're talking about, we've been invited by your friend, Chris, Alan Denny, to come and do a show at his house. We thought about doing the 300th episode there, but we've thought for some of the people who might be coming into Houston from other points that we'll be invited to the show, because we'll invite everybody who's ever been on the show to be there. Right, and so for some of the people who might be coming in from other points, we didn't want to add more of a drive for them after they got into town. So we'll probably do the 300th show in Houston. But before then, we want to do a show at Allen's because he's invited us, and we thought it'd be a fun place to smoke and bring some bottles and do a fun show. So.
Well, I think that's a great idea, but I just want to, just for the point of clarity, you use the term "my friend Alan."
Yes.
And that is not factual. Alan is an acquaintance.
Oh, okay. So you're making a distinction here.
I'm just kidding. I love the guy.
Yeah.
He's my
Line
friend.
in the sand.
Line in the
no.
sand has been drawn.
We have been hardcore friends for almost a decade now, and he couldn't be easier to be friends with, to work with. Big fan of Alan. I don't think we've even ever once had a disagreement.
Except about who had been on this show most times.
I mean, you can be wrong. But that's
There's no disagreement
yeah,
about
there's no
it.
disagreement
Okay,
about
gotcha.
it.
I got you. Ian, let's take a look at this final beer that we're going to try here. This is from Hubbard's Cave. We've had some beers from Hubbard's Cave before. They've always been very interesting and very creative. But this one I had not seen before I bought this can. This is all about chocolate-covered strawberries, or so
We're gonna see
the
what
can
happens.
says. Let's see what happens, yeah.
Running out of room here. Let's see.
That cognac, by the way, Chris.
The cognac is literally
That's
very
almost life-changing. It's so good.
There's
special
not
and
much left.
amazing
You guys
thing.
can keep the bottle.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to tuck you into that.
No. It's okay. I mean, like, I want you guys to
Let me
drink
just
it.
show
It's
this
fantastic.
again to the camera. Am I holding it far enough over, Doug?
We're currently distributed through Favorite Brands here in
through that way.
Texas.
Yeah, there you go.
So you guys, if you've got a liquor store that you want to find it at, you can ask Favorite Brands, have the store bring it in. It's fantastic.
And you've got enough of this one, right? You've got a decent quantity
There's
of
probably about 600 bottles of it in Texas.
it? Oh, that's not bad. That is not bad. All right, we're passing along some very darkly colored beer here. This is from Hubbard's Cave. It's an Imperial Stout, correct, Ian?
Yes.
Imperial Stout.
Smell the
and
chocolate
it's made
and
Oh,
strawberries.
yeah. You can smell it. It smells like
What does it say underneath on the label? Because I didn't
Imperial
write those.
Stout with chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla beans.
Smells
Oh,
like
boy.
Neapolitan ice cream.
It
does.
smells
It
amazing.
really does, and it really does smell like chocolate-covered strawberries too. That sort of
Swish my
candied
mouth with a little
smell.
water here.
The
That is
chocolate-covered
strawberry
strawberries.
ice cream for sure. I could drink about half of one,
Wow.
but that's got to be, what's the ABV on that? 12?
12.
Yeah. You can
Wow.
taste it. That's that
Oh, man, I would
that's
drink
that
this
expert
floating down the
palate there.
river.
The guys at Hubbard's Cave are really known for these stouts and porters.
This has such an amazingly huge mouthfeel. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's absolutely crazy. It doesn't even, well, it does kind of look sludgy, but, like thick, but when it hits your mouth, it's huge.
Yeah,
it's
it's
absolutely
huge with
enormous.
flavor and huge with viscosity
Yeah.
too.
What's the there was like a mockumentary style band documentary like in the 80s or 90s, I think.
Spinal Tap?
Yeah. Wasn't there a scene where he like turned yeah.
These knobs go to 11.
This in particular, everything about it's loud.
Yeah.
The strawberry is so front
Wait,
forward.
wait, hold on, slow down. Isn't that what they said about what's the new seltzer or whatever, Bud Light seltzer? That's how they describe it. It's loud.
It's loud.
Like,
yeah. It's
They
Bud
can't
Light seltzer
they
is
can't
loud.
legally say it's good, but it is loud. Sorry, go ahead.
No, this is good, but all of the qualities to this are turned up
cranked
to
up,
11.
yeah. Well,
This is unapologetically ridiculous.
The nose, the barrel influence.
The best scene in that entire movie is that scene when Rob Reiner asks him, when he explains that the volume goes up to 11 on the guitar, and Rob Reiner asks him, well, why don't you just have it go to 10 and have 10 be the loudest? And Kristopher
The
Guest
look that he gets.
just looks at him, and there's this long pause, and then he just says, these go to 11. As if any
that
dummy
movie's
should
very
be
well
able to
done.
figure that out, right?
Yeah, that's the one scene I remember about that film.
That's a great movie, by the way, and
That's worth
really,
rewatching, by the way.
all of those mockumentaries
What's
are.
the problem? She's smelling the glove.
And by the way, if you haven't seen Best in Show, it's just as good. It's just not about rock and roll; it's about dog shows. But it's wonderful. That movie is absolutely fantastic. But anyway, we're wandering into uncharted territories here, talking about Jeff Bridges movies and Kristopher Guest movies. But that's fun stuff, and it's always fun when you come on, Chris. We love having you on as a host, and not just because you bring good booze. You're just fun to hang out with too.
The flavor of this is so ridiculous.
It's really good. I love it. It's not something I would drink a lot of.
Right, half a
but-
can.
But boy, open one of these and share it with friends. You got something to talk about at the
Oh
party.
yeah, see
sure.
this can would be dangerous in my hands. I would knock this out and be
you,
like,
you would drink this floating down the river. You said
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I would have no problems with that.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. Listen, I love coming here. I wish it happened more often, and it really that has to just do with everything that's been going on. And I really thought I just saw you guys.
Yeah.
It feels that how much. I mean, that amount of time has gone by. We've been friends for 2016.
Yeah.
at least.
From 2016. Yeah.
And I mean, same thing. Very easy to get along with. We have great cigars together. I still think about the time we had cigars at Boss Cat together.
That was fun.
It was a good night.
It was a good night.
You guys are fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. His show is called Whiskey Neat. Tell people where they can find it.
Yep. So Whiskey Neat airs on 97.5 here in Houston on ESPN Radio. You can listen to it also on all your podcasting platforms. We put the video portion up on YouTube. In fact, I know that the podcast episode with Colin Hanks dropped today. The video portion on YouTube will drop tomorrow. And you can watch me talk to celebrities and comics
fun
and friends.
fun stuff,
and,
yeah.
Just have a few drinks and talk some shit.
It's good. It's good. We love it. Whiskey Social. Where should people go
It'll
to
be
find
the
out
same
more?
month. It's now permanently the first weekend in November.
Okay.
November 5th. Tickets will go on sale in May, so we'll have an email blast going out to all of the I hate to use the word fans, but the people who follow the event. We will blast out the ticket sales at the beginning of May. Tickets go on sale at the end of May, and then November 5th.
And finally, the Houston Bourbon Society. Find you on Facebook.
Great Facebook group, Houston Bourbon Society. Come with thick skin, and I will continue to be the grumpy guy to put people in line to be nice. But
The Gregarious Grump.
The Gregarious Grump.
Look for this stuff. It is worth it. It is wonderful. This cognac, a 30-year cognac, is to be
special.
added to your special bottles.
Yes.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you again for being here. Ian, always good to see you, my friends. Doug is on the wheels of steel with Adam looking over his shoulder, but not for very much longer. So have a great week, my friends. We are thrilled to be bringing you episode number 280. Cheers.
Cheers, y'all.
Drink. There we go. Boom. I'll take it. You guys like this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.